Fight begins. That's the focus of tonight's angle. All right, last night wasn't a Democrat wipeout of Republicans so much as a socialist wipeout of the Democrat Party.
The future is in our hands. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty. I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life, but let tonight be the final time I utter his name as we turn the page on a politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few.
Doesn't it sound so appealing? Appealing to voters who were either not born here or who were taught to resent American history and our way of life? And of course, social media snippets can make socialism seem so cool. It can make communism seem doable. Disaffected minorities and the proletariat will finally get their due.
Speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. This city is your city, and this democracy is yours too.
Oh, how sweet. But peel back the onion, and Mamdani is just another seething leftist, acting out on his messianic mission of soaking the rich and hating on Trump.
We will usher in a generation of change. And if we embrace this brave new course, rather than fleeing from it, we can respond to oligarchy and authoritarianism with the strength it fears, not the appeasement it craves. If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Weird. Doesn't sound like a mayor-elect. He sounded like he was pretending that he, not Kamala, was running against Trump last year.
We will hold bad landlords to account because the Donald Trumps of our city have grown far too comfortable taking advantage of their tenants. We will put an end to the culture of corruption that has allowed billionaires like Trump to evade taxation and exploit tax breaks.
Now, where did Mr. Genial, Mr. Approachable go? We told you not to believe his smiling socialist routine.
I think the Mamdani that we saw on the campaign trail, who was a lot more calm, who was a lot warmer, who was a lot more embracing, was not present in that speech. Its tone was sharp. I think he was using the microphone in a way that he was almost yelling. I felt like it was a little bit of a character switch here.
Exactly. The bully pulpit had too much bully. And in practical terms, it's just unworkable.
You're talking about a rent freeze, you're talking about free buses, you're talking about free childcare. Can you do that without raising taxes?
I think you can do that, and I think you have to raise taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers who make more than $1 million a year, and you do that by raising taxes by them 2%. And then you also increase the corporate tax of New York State to match that of New Jersey. So that takes us from about 7.25 to about 11.5%, which is what we see in New Jersey. These things together raise about $9 billion, which more than pays for our economic agenda and also starts to Trump-proof our city.
Trump-proof. Spoken by a man, by the way, who has never had to make a payroll, but neither had AOC. And look at her, the leader of the modern-day Democrat Party. She's giving everyone their marching orders.
I think the message that sends is that the Democratic Party cannot last much longer by denying the future, by trying to undercut our young, by trying to undercut a next generation of diverse and upcoming Democrats that have the parties, the actual party, our actual electorate and voters support.
Now, this is a good time to remember just how far to the left the Democrats have moved.
We know big government does not have all the answers. We know there's not a program for every problem.
The American people don't expect government to solve every problem.
We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about.
Translation, watch your wallet, because he and AOC are coming for it in a supercharged nanny state that will tell you what to do, when to do it, and how much it will cost. And establishment Democrats, they're taking orders too. Submit to the socialists or move aside. As usual, Donald Trump perfectly captured what's at stake going forward.
I don't think it was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody.
After last night's results, the decision facing all Americans could not be more clear. We have a choice between communism and common sense.
Well, the problem is most Americans don't even really know what communism is. They're not really taught it in schools. Instead, they're taught that capitalism begets corruption. And they're taught, of course, that resistance is cool, agitating is noble, and that no immigrant is illegal. Ignorance which Mamdani exploited all the way to victory.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant. So hear me, President Trump, when I say this. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us.
Yeah, he's basically calling for an ongoing insurrection against ICE there. The crime of interference with federal law enforcement, encouraging rioting. This is today's Democrat Party. So moderate Democrats who think it's a mistake to keep the government closed still, they have no power. And any moderate Democrats who worried about keeping Jay Jones on the ticket in Virginia for that AG position, they were just ignored. It's the hard left's party to run as they wish now. And you either line up behind their agenda or you're going to get booed off the stage at the 2028 convention, if you're even invited at all. Going forward, expect more government shutdowns, and if they take the House, more impeachment inquiries and anti-Trump investigations, more protections for the trans agenda, and mass defiance of deportations. So if you don't want this, if you believe that a fair market is the best way to generate prosperity for the most people, and if you believe in entrepreneurship and the goodness of American history, if you believe that immigration laws matter, if you believe that girls are girls and boys are boys, then you have to join the Republican Party, because no one in this Democrat Party will stand for you. So at this point, there is no resistance to the left in the Democrat Party at all. And as for the other Democrat winners like Spanberger in Virginia, who haven't maybe yet fully embraced socialism, well, they were just too chicken to stand up to the left flank, even when it meant siding with someone like murder texter Jay Jones. The Democrat leaders, they should have done more, right? They could have done more to cultivate patriotic, pro-business, pro-American candidates who just appeal to normal people. But they were too afraid. And now they're stuck. As for Zoran's affordability pitch, affordability is exactly what President Trump is focused on. That's why he's trying to use tariffs to improve the fiscal situation in the U.S. so we can have more jobs here, make more stuff here, and get lower interest rates here. And by the way, his drill, baby, drill is all about making energy more affordable, and it has. But it's time Congress also does its part. Passing the big, beautiful bill, that's not enough. We need to be as aggressive as the Democrat socialists are on all fronts. And until one Republican can convince me tonight that the Democrats won't dump the filibuster the first chance they get, I think they need to seriously consider listening to Trump and doing it first. Otherwise, Republicans will be playing a very dangerous waiting game, perpetually on the defensive, picked off one by smiling socialists who rule like Soviet tyrants. And that is the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.